Mehryn, it is Friday again. How are you?
I'm well. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God. And if it's Friday, you know what that means. It's time for the fastest 10 minutes of Microsoft Teams news of this week. We've got a lot to get to this week. It was another interesting week. Before we do, I just want to say thank you to Michael and Amanda for last week. Amazing job. And thank you. It just helps when we all come together and we work as a team and can fill in for each other. So thank you again. And let's get to the latest news of the week, Mehryn.
All right, so this was a big one. Microsoft Q1 earnings came out this week, and some nice highlights around the Teams category. As always, it's been nice to kind of see our own little blurbs around Teams rooms, but specific to Teams, there was some good call-outs here.
One of the big ones was 55% of our enterprise customers who use Teams now have Teams rooms or Teams phone. One or the other. I think this is hugely exciting for the device category that we have.
Great stat that shows the growth. And the other one that I really like is the first one, where we talk about the engagement of Teams being on the rise. The number of people who use 4 or more features has jumped to over 20% year over year. And there's further stats in the earnings report, but essentially more and more people are diving deeper into Teams and using it more heavily, less into the Outlook and emails, which is great. It's showing the adoption of Teams and the ability to use more and more features. Which really, as we say, Teams rooms goes with Teams. So
we
obviously
cannot talk about Teams rooms without talking about Teams. And to that point, Satya released his letter to shareholders, and there was another important part inside of this, Mehryn.
And I have not had a chance to read it yet, so I know you dropped this in late last night and missed this one. So call it out.
Late last night. So the mission of Microsoft, the mission statement of Microsoft, empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And in this letter, which is a lengthy letter, and it was a very good read, he's actually got a whole blurb about modern work where he talks about Teams rooms. And he talks about the importance of Teams rooms on the ecosystem that has been growing for people who are not only working at home, but starting to go back to the office. We've seen it here at Microsoft ourselves, and we've seen it as Customer Zero. And he's seen it as a leader of Customer Zero, and he called it out specifically in a letter to shareholders. So it's an important part. We always talk about the idea that we want to talk about Teams rooms, and we can't talk about Teams rooms without Teams and modern work. And 100% he called it out inside of this letter absolutely tremendously. So I wanted to point it out, wanted to again show everybody the importance of it. And Mehryn, once again, we had a boot camp.
We had a boot camp.
And who didn't learn something this week? I got a lot of feedback about my bullhorn making an appearance during the boot camp. I hope everybody attended. Yeah. But if you didn't, Mehryn, there's another chance to attend.
There is. We do have an Asia version. I believe it is next week, November 2nd. This obviously is in Pacific time, where it's at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So I will be up and supporting that session. But if you missed it, you can check that one out, or you can also click on this link. It'll be in the library in the coming 2 weeks, along with the slides. But I loved it. If you didn't attend the boot camp last year, the content was similar but different, all refreshed. And I really appreciated all the different speakers that we had. It was pretty dynamic. It was awesome.
I'm an old man. I eat at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I go to bed by 9 o'clock. I will not be up for this one, but 100%. I know that our fellow colleague, Andrew Higgs, will be giving the presentation and doing a tremendous job, as all of the speakers on here. If you are a partner, make sure that if you didn't attend the first one, that you attend the second one. All of this collateral will be up and available for the partners right after the session that we do on November 2nd as well. So make sure you attend. And Mehryn, it's another week
that attended, right? Thousands.
It was thousands and thousands of the fans that we have for Microsoft Teams.
Millions soon.
But Mehryn, it's another week. It's another episode on Empowering Cloud. This week, Nate Loback actually did a really, really great job of showing how to get Teams rooms into Teams Live events. And Mehryn, you and I always talk. How do we do X? How do we do Y? And that's why a lot of these videos and a lot of these blog posts come about, is because we don't have to remember everything. As long as we have resources like this to actually go back to and remember how to do things, that's the important part. And Nate shows you how to do it in under 8 minutes.
And we got Tom in the chat. So lovely resource, Empowering Cloud. I think we've called it out several weeks in a row now, but every week bringing some great content. So thank you.
And Mehryn, our partners at Cisco had a tremendous keynote. And I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many conference rooms with a blender. Have you?
No. This was an interesting call out, right? Do we have a blender?
The blender's in the picture on the bottom right. The blender's in the picture on the bottom right. I don't know. Maybe Cisco does things a little differently than many of our other people in the world, but blenders in the conference room to me are not a common thing. So
awesome.
Congratulations to Cisco for putting on a wonderful keynote event that included a lot about the newest collaboration between Cisco and Microsoft. So I really wanted to point that out. If you haven't seen the YouTube video, it is entertaining. Go ahead and watch it. And Mehryn, we talk about diversity at Microsoft, empowering everybody on the planet to do more. So this is an important report that we released this week.
Yeah, I felt it was important to drop it in. And we think about Microsoft, it's exciting what we do around innovation. And I think it's important to point out that we also innovate around inclusion and culture. And so this was really great. I think one of the biggest things is it shows our growth mindset. We proactively share our data on our progress. So we shared some key highlights on where we've grown in equity and inclusion and diversity. So go ahead and check it out. It does also include 6 tips to basically help towards this DNA concept. So I thought it was awesome. I love the transparency and go ahead and check it out. Yeah.
It was great. And I see our friend Michael, I just put his comment up on the screen. Thank you, Michael, for taking the bullhorn comment and running with it. I don't think anybody will ever forget that front row is just a layout. So, but as we talk about diversity and everything else, Mehryn, it's important to get other perspectives as well, not just the team's perspective, but other perspectives from people. So this was an important two episodes that you put up on the slides this week.
Yeah, as you guys know, I am an avid fan of podcasts. So I never missed one of these work lab reports. And 2 that I was telling Jimmy prior to that I thought were really interesting. The first one was really interesting. It's kind of around gaming and sort of in my mind ties to the metaverse. It basically talks about that 3 billion people are gamers today. I know Jimmy's like a gamer times 5.
I have 4 Xboxes in the house, Mehryn. 4.
Craziness. But they talked about the gaming business going to grow to 4.5 billion by 2030, and I believe it. And basically the younger generation growing and changing our culture today. But one of the key quotes that I thought was really interesting, it said, gaming by its very nature teaches you that if you keep working at it, something that seems impossible, you can master it. So I think it shows that growth mindset. And really, I had that problem with my kids growing up of like, you got to just keep trying and eventually you'll get it. So I thought it was great. And then we also had one on The Economist that it talks about, obviously, the economy is top of mind today, and it was really fresh, current advice on how to move forward. So make sure you don't miss that one either.
Yeah. And helping us out. This was a great example of partners coming together with partners and actually doing a webinar and showing some of the abilities of their technology inside of the room virtually as well.
Yeah, so if you have not had a chance to see this, definitely check it out. So this was unifiedcommunications.com, our friend Ryan Herbst, as well as our friends from Logitech, showcasing conference rooms archetypes, but in the virtual reality setting. So you had the opportunity to not only tour what a center table camera might look like, but also some of our other signature rooms, including what you see there on the right, but in a virtual setting, which was really incredible to me. And it also showed you, okay, in this particular setting, I might need extra mics here and here. If I move the table here, this is what I would need to do with the camera. So really great visualization. If you haven't seen it yet, that is a great watch.
Awesome. And speaking of innovations and everything, we actually had a sneak peek of some new furniture inside of the room. And I think this is important to understand when we talk about the Microsoft Teams signature rooms. We're not only talking about the front of room layout, the technology that's inside of the room, but we're actually also talking about furniture and some of the challenges. We give the guidance that's on the website about challenges that we've had, how we've overcome it, where we see guidance actually putting the camera at eye level and things like that. But furniture is an important part as well, Mehryn.
Yeah, and this was one that I had an opportunity to see live and in person when I was down in Miami a few weeks ago. And I loved it because they called it the Swiss Army knife of tables, or even the Venus flytrap, because in the middle of that picture there's some flexibility. And we talked about it. You might have a meeting where you have everybody in person. You can change it so everybody's facing each other. Or if you're more hybrid and need to face the screen, you can flex it to that direction, which I thought was really great, innovative, and flexible.
Yeah, and it's one of the challenges. We look to our furniture designers. We look to everybody inside of the space to actually come with their best. And coming with their best includes, all right, What if I have to turn to my right? What if I have to turn to my left? I don't want to have to shift my seat and do all those things. So making things more comfortable, that was really the goal of what this was. And speaking of making things more comfortable, this was a great thing that happened at Ignite that I saw, and I was like, wow, I can now take a picture of Post-it note apps and put it up on the wall.
I don't know how many people use Post-its, but I am a huge fan. And it's funny because we've got a teammate, Susanna. I had a chance to look at her office. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just like me. I have Post-its.
I take them, I move them. Yes, 100%.
It's awesome. So I thought that this was really innovative. Definitely a new way to collaborate. I was already looking at trying to add the PostIt app within my team's environment. So go ahead and check it out. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was a nice app. And again, talking about Teams rooms, we can't talk about Teams rooms without Teams. This is another innovative app that surrounds Teams. And speaking of innovative, Mehryn, who's more innovative than the Oreo, right?
Right. I mean, this is like the most classic cookie of all time. I don't think there's a person on the planet that doesn't like Oreos. But who was it? Michelle Bowman showed us a special trick in Teams this week, right?
100%. Get your Oreos inside of Teams. Send Oreos to your friends. There's nothing better than taking a snack break and coming together. And it's a nice little emoji that's actually a secret inside of Teams. Type in Oreo or Oreo Yum and you'll see them all. Mehryn, it is that time. It's time to head into the weekend. I know right after this, we're going to do a Teams Friday and speak more about a whole bunch of things and go a little bit deeper. So if you are around, join us on LinkedIn, join us on YouTube, join us on Twitter, wherever you are. Thank you, everybody, for the comments that are in there. Thank you, everybody, for helping us make this a more reached episode of Selling Teams Rooms. Mehryn, have a great weekend. Michael, I know you're in the background. Have a great weekend. Everybody else, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Right? All right. Bye, everybody.
Happy Halloween.